Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome David Baddiel.
Thanks. All right, I am David Baddiel. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start, if I may, with a bit of synchronised heckling, if that's at all possible. What I'd like you to do is when I say hi, synchronised means all together, you stupid twat. Okay, we'll try that again, without the moron, if possible. When I say hi, I'd like you all to shout, sod off, all right? Let's give that a whirl. Hi. Okay, that was a bit listless and a bit shit. Bit of impro over there. I think someone shouted, fuck off. Obviously went on a long mental journey and found that. That's good. Can we do it again? Try and put a bit more hate into it. Just imagine that I'd come up to you in the street and said, hey, have you ever really thought about Jesus? So here we go. Hi. That's better, I'm a bit frightened now. Is it just me, or has anybody else noticed that Michael Burke has started winking at the end of the 9 o'clock news? Who's noticed this? So it's like, and that was the news on the day that 400,000 innocent people are known to have died. Why isn't it be going like this next? In a sitcom called Oh No, It's Michael Burke. You see some terrible things on the news these days. Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, that was terrible. But it did apparently give them a very good idea for the new Impulse advert, when somebody you don't know suddenly gives you flowers. Run like fuck! And I was pleased that Boris Becker didn't win Wimbledon. Because he is, after all, you know, half man, half pig. Where are your eyelashes, Boris? Eat some sausages. I've been watching a lot of sport recently, and I noticed that there's been another doping scandal in the horse racing world. But whenever this happens, I always think, you know, what are horses like when they're on dope? And as they come into the final furlong, it's Desert Orchid from Spanish Steps. And Desert Orchid has gone to the off-licence to buy 12 Kit Kats. And meanwhile, behind him, Spanish Steps has started giggling for no reason. And West Tip has fallen, asleep. I've about had it with John Major as well, I think, one way or another. Because the thing about John Major is I don't really kind of have a problem with his basic ideology and his policies. I just have a problem with the fact that he's so patently a complete spastic. Just so obviously got beaten up every day at school. Right? The sort of politician who, when you see him in a hard hat on a building site, you think, oh, he looks a bit of a spastic in that hat. And then you realise it's not the hat. I think my problem, really, is that the Conservatives are meant to be the government of law and order, but I was burgled about 4 months ago. And the burglars, they took everything out of my flat, apart from my camera, which they just left in the middle of the living room floor. And then about 3 months after that, about a month ago, I got over the burglary, and I went to have the film that was in the camera developed. And in amongst my pictures, there was one which was a close-up of what was obviously the burglar's arse, with my toothbrush stuck up it. 3 months of thinking, oh, my breath smells a bit funny. Better go and clean my teeth. Terrible, they should do something about that. You'll have gathered by now that I am an intellectual comedian. Although I've never really wanted to be an intellectual, I've always wanted to be a lad. I don't know if you know what I mean by a lad, I think a few of you do. A lad is somebody who drinks 18 pints of lager before the first edition of Home and Away, and whose sense of humour extends so far as to shout Malteser head at the lead singer of Hot Chocolate. But basically, I don't have the moronic confidence required to be a lad. I am an anxious sort of male. There's good reason for this. I've been beaten up twice in my life. once for being Jewish, once for being a Pakistani. Later in life, I hope to be beaten up for being Chesney Hawkes. Oh, Chesney Hawkes, I am the one and only. I fucking hope so, Chesney. I could take another mole just there, mate. Not from no one. Where does he get off? I think all this anxiety I have can be traced back to my early childhood, principally my father. My father had a lot of psychological problems. He had what is now known as a narcissistic schizophrenic guilt complex. He would stand for hours staring at his own reflection in the mirror and going, "That's the man, officer." I think the other reason why I was traumatised as a child was that I was terribly ridiculed at primary school for two reasons. First, because my parents forced me to wear polyvelts. I don't know if any of you remember these. These are shoes that look like Cornish pasties. As you can see. No, right, class commandos, mate. All right. With the compass in the heel. Stages is right. And, I think the other reason was that I didn't know what the phrase "let off" meant. I didn't know it meant farting. I thought it was something to do with NASA and the space programme. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we have let off. And what would happen is, to ridicule me at primary school, someone would come up to me and do a stupid face and a stupid voice as a satirical impression of me. So what would happen is I'd say something stupid like, "I don't know what let off means." And immediately someone would come up to me and go, "My name's David Baddiel." And I'd be crushed, you know. I'd be gutted, I'd feel this small. And this is a terribly effective form of insult, and I think they should use it in Parliament. In fact, I think that next time the Chancellor of the Exchequer does something really stupid, like announce his next budget, right, the Shadow Chancellor should go up to him while he's making the speech, stand on the dispatch post and go, "My name's Norman Lamont." But of course, Roy Hattersley does already speak a bit like that. And the other thing I'd like to see, I don't know if this is going to mean anything to anyone, but next time the Employment Secretary goes on television and gives us a rundown of the government employment figures, or next time they tell us how much they're spending on the NHS, I'd like the interviewer, David Dimbleby or whatever, to let them finish and then go, "Oh, Chinny Recon. Oh, Jimmy Hill. I'm glad you all went to my school." At school, I was heavily involved in the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. This is an award scheme where awards are given to people who are most like the Duke of Edinburgh. Being Greek, swearing at foreigners and never shagging your wife gets you a gold medal. Talking about never shagging your wife ever, Prince Edward, apparently, is... I've heard many more rumours, the fact that Prince Edward is gay. And, you know, I can't accept... I mean, it's just because, like, he's not married, right? He's an actor, and he didn't like it in the Marines. Well, why don't you just go and join the village people then, you know? But I can't see what the problem would be with a gay royal anyway, right? I mean, you know, once we got over all the initial puerile jokes about Edward actually being the Queen, you know, and playing about with Andrew's chopper and stuff like that, then it can only be a good thing. I mean, all right, so the Queen Mum might have to learn a few new words, you know, fisting, rimming, you know, felching. I'm sure she can get her mouth around those, you know. But at least Edward would never sire some offspring who might one day be accidentally hit on the head with a golf club. Well, how'd you do that? Oh, sorry, William, mistook you for a tea. I did this questionnaire the other day. I did a questionnaire for a local paper. And one of the questions they asked me is, what film would you most like to have been in? And I thought about this, and I think, on reflection, the film I would most like to have been in was a film I once saw in Soho called Spunky Birthday. What I like about Spunky Birthday is the way that the title allows you to infer exactly what the plot might be. I've been doing, apart from going to the cinema, I've been doing a lot of reading recently. And I've been reading these books called Graffiti, by a bloke called Nigel Rees, right? And these are collections of witty graffiti collated from public toilets up and down the country. don't know if you've seen them. Very witty things they have. Things like, smile, you're on Beadle's about. Very clever things like that. But what worries me is that in 4 of these books, right, Nigel Rees seems to have missed out every public toilet that I've ever sat down in, where all that's written on the walls are things like, suck my big knob, or up the bum, phone 365 572, or I was molested in this toilet when I was 12 by 2 men. They hurt me, but I liked it and came back 3 times in half an hour. Or here is a piece of shit. With a little arrow drawn towards it. I've been reading a lot of I haven't been reading a lot. I read some Charles Dickens the other day. And don't let anyone tell you that Charles Dickens is good, right? Because he's a crap storyteller, right? Fucking rubbish. He gives away what his characters are going to do by giving his heroines names like, Miss Lovely, and his villains names like Mr. Complete Bastard. And thank goodness he didn't design Cluedo. Oh, I suspect Mr. Murderer. In the kitchen with the lead piping. I suppose you think I spend a lot of time in the library doing all this reading, but I don't, because the trouble with the library is that you can't go in there without getting a huge hard-on, I've noticed. It is impossible to be in a library for more than 10 seconds without really getting the horde, right? And I imagine that when he goes into the library, even Bernard Levin feels his sort of prim, withered-on-the-vine genitals stirring across his pants for the first time since 1903. Alternatively, Barry White must explode. It's the silence, right? Silence is sexual, like those quiet please signs. They might as well put up a sign that says tense sexual atmosphere, please. Or furrowed guilt in the air at all times. Or no standing on the desk and shouting, hey everybody, let's fuck! Like you desperately want to. I've been reading the papers, of course. I read the papers to keep up with topical observations and shit like that. But specifically, I read the Indie, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is produced by The Independent. It's a newspaper for children. Rather like John Craven's Newsround, except without some wanker and Aaron Sweater. I shouldn't talk about fashion because I used to be a punk rocker. I was in a band called Clitoris All Sorts. And like many people at that time, I wore a t-shirt with a print on it of a man with like spiky hair, bad teeth and a criminal expression. Ken Dodd. But of course it has been fashionable for some small time now to wear flared trousers. Is there anyone in the audience in flared trousers? Now there's a man there who never realised that flares were never fashionable. Yeah, well the thing about flared trousers is, of course, this practice emerged in Manchester, which is why they lost their bid to host the 1996 Olympics. The Olympic Committee said it would cost too much to widen the running lanes. They wouldn't be able to tell if the Olympic walkers were actually running. And while we're on the subject, professional walking is a fucking stupid sport, isn't it? Don't these people look back at the height of their careers and think, oh, I've trained really, really hard to look like a tosspot? Because a marathon walk's just a 20-kilometre mince, isn't it? And I'll tell you what the problem is. It's a sport totally cut off from reality, right? Because there is no situation in real life where you would have to walk that fast where it wouldn't be better to run. Unless you were moving in that way that you do when there are like some hard lads behind you. You think, oh, I better not run because then they'll know I'm not hard. But once I get round that corner, I'll leg it. But you're just digging your own grave because by now from the back you're doing an impression of John Inman. That's my problem. I'm just not hard, you see. I'm just not a hard man. Because I don't drink enough beer, I think. I fucking hate beer. Just, look, all this new lad shit, I fucking hate beer, Men will tell you it's good and then go and vomit. And the thing is that beer is, however, the elixir of masculinity. It's like the more beer you drink, the more of a man you are. Even women. Like one woman who grew up drinking an awful lot of beer was Jeff Capes. I don't know. Things are never as great in real life, are they, as you think they are in the imagination. Like fellatio, for example, right? I mean, you think, oh great, a blowjob. And then you can't actually feel anything except maybe the odd tooth. It's true. There's a woman down here laughing at that, and I don't know how you've experienced that sensation, but fair enough. I mentioned, talking about sexual practice, I mentioned felching before. Does anyone know what felching is? Yes? I have to let you know that this is being videotaped, and the police will be round to your house if you know too much about it. No, not that many people know what it is. Well, what?
We don't want to know.
You don't want to know? Oh, well, good night. That's the end of my set, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to stop there. Now, I'm going to tell you, you can go out and hide in the toilet if you want, right? But felching is, I'm afraid, brace yourself, it is sucking your own sperm back out of your lover's anus, right? Yeah, I know. And not being a word in common usage, I've recently submitted it to come up on Call My Bluff. Because, I think that's maybe how Frank Muir got the lisp in the first place. What else can I tell you about myself? I've got a cat. She's called The Cat. I named her after Peter Bonetti. 2 people. That'll do for me. The thing about this cat is I spend a lot of time trying to convince her to do something sort of twee and human-like, because I think that'll grant us both some media attention. But she won't do it. So the other day, in desperation, I cut all her legs off, phoned up That's Life, and told them I've got a cat who thinks she's Douglas Bader. As well, I bought this cat the other day. I bought her some litter, right, for the litter tray. And I noticed that it said on the bag that you could put the litter in other places apart from the tray to, absorb unwanted and unpleasant odours. So I put some in my pants. And in my mouth, because my toothbrush doesn't seem too effective these days, I notice. I'd rather have a cat than a fish. A fish are such crap pets, aren't they? Why do people keep fish? Because, what is it? A fish is an animal that always manages to die from eating too much, right? And it's quite difficult to do that, on proper food, on, spangles and roast duck and stuff like that. But fish manage to do it on, grains of dust. And you might imagine there's some cut-off point where the fish thinks, oh, I feel a bit sick now. Or perhaps I'll leave that 4th grain for later, eh? It's like, I'm dead. Crap things. My parents never thought I was going to be a social satirist. They always thought I was going to be a scientist. But it always amused me how wrong parental prediction always is. Like when Leon Britton was 3, for example, his father turned to his mother and said, I think Leon's going to grow up to be a slim, handsome man without any warts on his face. Similarly, when Timmy Mallet was 3, his father turned to his mother and said, I think Timmy's going to grow up. Amazing how wrong you can be. Most important man in my early life was my grandfather. And I remember when he died, my mother used to go to his grave and put flowers on it. She said it's what he would have wanted. What she meant by that is what he would have wanted if he was still alive. Sounds a bit odd, because what he would have wanted if he was still alive was to be dug up. Like my parents, my grandfather didn't actually have any foresight. It was actually my grandfather who, in 1963, advised John F. Kennedy to buy a convertible. But my other grandfather actually died on the occasion of his 92nd birthday, which was a great shame as we were only halfway through giving him the bumps. I was actually named after that grandfather. My middle name is Lionel. I'm sure you think that's embarrassing. A few people are laughing already. Yeah, all right. But, I'm sure you think Lionel Blair, his trousers flare. But you should fuck right off if you think that. Because Lionel is a really cool name, okay? It is, all right? What's your middle name? Who was laughing at that? What's your middle name? Stephen. Shit, that is less embarrassing. I have to be honest with you. But the thing is, in America, right, Lionel is like a sort of hip ethnic name. It's the sort of name that scratch urban hip-hop rapper DJs have. I have it on good authority that LL Cool J's real name is Lionel Cool J. Of course, LL Cool J does go back to a tradition that began with the blues, and I always wanted to be a blues singer. But then I realised, I haven't got a disability. Because that's what you need to be a blues singer, like Blind Lemon Pie. He was a real blues singer. And, of course, he was blind. That wasn't bad enough. He was also, of course, a lemon pie. to make things fucking difficult. Talking of that, I went into McDonald's the other day and I ordered a hot apple pie. And when I put it in my mouth, it was so hot, my head burst into flames. But that's off the point. Yeah, I was with my grandparents. My grandmother, right, my grandmother, she also died tragically when she fell through a trap door and broke her neck. She was hung. Of course, most people in this country are still in favour of capital punishment without realising that capital punishment is, of course, a radio station. I think... Oh dear. Pat Sharp will be upset when he buys the video. I think that if I was to be publicly executed, I'd prefer the electric chair, right? Because then, when the priest, or in my case the rabbi, says to me, have you got any last requests? I can say, yeah, when they pull the switch, hold my hand. I tell you what I'd like to see suddenly turn into an electric chair, though. That big chair that Jimmy Savile sits in. That'd make him go, ooh! Bad impression, but you get the point. Death is a bit on my mind at the moment, actually, because I think it's because everyone keeps on telling me to get a fucking pension scheme, right? A pension scheme, oh yeah, can I have the nose pimple with hair coming out of it and a colostomy bag now as well, please? It's like a pension scheme doesn't actually mature. You don't get any money out of it till you're about 80, right? Oh great, I really need £100,000 to spend on yellowing pants. As an intellectual, I do spend a lot of my time playing video trivia games. I was playing one the other day, and the first question came up, typical one for these machines. It said, if you were wearing lederhosen, spending francs, and speaking Flemish, where would you be? Well, you could be in Piccadilly Circus, if you took enough acid. But I pressed Swiss Austria, that was the correct answer. Then I was on a double or nothing. I was up for 10 quid, and the machine gave me this question. If all history is relative, there can be no such concept as being. Discuss. Easiest 10 quid I've ever earned. I have to think about intellectual things, though, like who I'd most like to shag out of Neighbours. Because obviously, for ages, it was Bronwyn, right? And before that, Jane, and I'm prepared to admit that Kylie Minogue looked all right in a certain light, right? But now who is there? Kerry, no thank you. Sharon, I'd prefer Bouncer. Those two twins they've got in us are obviously supposed to provide a bit of glamour element, but one of them's got a bit of a wonky mouth, right? And you'd never be able to get that out of your mind, even if you're actually doing it with a nicer one, right? So I think your best bet now is Helen, right? Remember what I was saying earlier about fellatio and having false teeth and stuff, and she's got a very sexy way of finishing every single sentence in a kind of husky whisper. It didn't half turn me on when she had that stroke as well. I watch a lot of TV. I've got to complain about Beatles I don't want to talk much about Jeremy Beadle because it's crap and old hat to talk about him, but what planet without television do they get the people from who are tricked by Jeremy Beadle, all right? Because, look, if your car gets pushed into the canal by a forklift truck, right, or if you come home and the council are building a radar station on your lawn, right, it's Beatles about, all right? If you get a new job and some fat people come in and break up the shop, it's fucking Beatles about. Just say, all right, very clever, yeah, go lightly, he's very funny, just get the cunt in here and I'll rip his fucking beard off his false beard. I'd rather be anyone than Jeremy Beadle, except possibly the only person who I really wouldn't like to be is M. Khan, I think. Now, you don't know who M. Khan is, or most of you probably don't. But there is a bridge that crosses the North Circular between Southgate and Crouch End, right? And on that bridge, in huge white letters, someone has written, M. Khan is bent. I'm very glad to be doing this in London, because I think this might be observational comedy for some people, right? Now, I estimate that 300,000 cars pass under that bridge, carrying an average of 2.7 people every week, which means that in the last 10 years, right, the fact of M. Khan's bentness has been impressed on round about 297,000 billion people. Or round about 5 times the population of Europe. I can't believe anyone's ever given him a job. Name M. Khan, cheerio. I think I did mention earlier that I am Jewish. A friend of mine is half Jewish. He's got a 2-skin. Round his neck he wears a little triangle. Never mind, forget it. I've got a classic Jewish mother. My mother is the sort of woman who, if I fell into a river, would shout, "Help, come quick, my son, the university graduate, is drowning." I'm not really a practicing Jew, although there is one of the Old Testament commandments that I do live my life by very stringently, and that is I never, ever covet my neighbour's oxen. And he's got a fucking nice one as well. A lot of people will tell you the main problem of being Jewish is like anti-Semitism or neo-Nazism or Leon Britton, but I can tell you that the main problem with being Jewish, right, is that whenever you go to a bar mitzvah, at the party afterwards, some bloke will always stand up and tell a joke, right? And the punchline will always be in Yiddish, which is a mystery to me, all right? So there you are, and Mr. Goldblatt will suddenly stand up and tell the one about, I don't know, about Jaime, whose foreskin has recently grown back, right? And Jaime goes to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, my foreskin has grown back, what shall I do? And the rabbi turns to him and he says, Jaime, Moses said, when the light of the world is shining, we must turn our faces to the ground. When the light of the world is dim, we must turn our faces to the sky. But I say, wenn der Putsch steht in der Jentel, dann hast du Soros für der Knedlach in die Schlange. And the whole place will piss itself, right? The rabbi will go all red and start choking on his pickled herring, and Mrs. Rosenberg will die, and everyone will start going, oi, and hitting themselves on the forehead. And you think, what? But I tell a lie, because I do know the odd word in Yiddish, and as far as I can make out, it's a brilliant language. Every word in Yiddish is onomatopoeic. I mean, have you ever heard of a better word for the male organ than schmuck? Schmuck, capturing exactly that sort of slapping sound the penis makes when dropped against the inner thigh. Sort of schmuck. Schmuck. Or if you're lucky, schmuck! I don't know, religion presents a lot of problems for me, though, a lot of questions. Like, you know, what do we put on this earth for, and why does anyone laugh at little and large? Because I worked it out, of course, that the studio audience is entirely made up of old people, for most of whom the joke is basically, ha ha ha, I'm not dead yet. By the way, has anyone noticed how much Eddie Large looks like Kevin Keegan with bulimia? I have to think about that because I'm actually a researcher on the new series of Stars in Their Eyes, right? We've got a lot of good people lined up for the next series. We've got Colonel Gaddafi, who will be played by Fatima Whitbread. We've got the Elephant Man, who will be played by Chris de Burgh. And we've got the entire cast of Bread, who will be played by a bucket of shit. I mentioned the Elephant Man there. You may not know it's a historical anomaly that despite everything else, the Elephant Man, John Merrick, had a set of perfectly formed genitals. Unfortunately, they were on his head. And it is another historical anomaly that you may not be aware of, is that Agatha Christie, the great detective writer, apparently for her whole life was unaware of how it was that her husband, Mr. Christie, had discovered that she had committed adultery. And I heard this from her son, Linford. Belinda Carlisle says, we dream the same dream. But I can't believe that every night Belinda Carlisle has a wet dream about Wilma Flintstone. And about perversion, you know, like a lot of people will tell you, I mean, I read lorry loads of pornography, right? Absolutely lorry loads of it. There's a van outside my house just delivering it. And the thing is that a lot of right-on heterosexual men will tell you that, you know, they just can't achieve an orgasm through reading pornography. And I always say, you know, try masturbating while you're doing it. Always works for me. You know. I've been in a long-term relationship But one thing that happens in long-term relationships is that as time goes on, it means you don't have to worry about Valentine cards and who Valentine cards are from. Because for years, I didn't know that people would disguise their identity on their Valentine cards by, like, writing with the wrong hand. And for years, I didn't know this, and I thought all my admirers had cerebral palsy. Or just written the card after 4 hours of solid masturbation. You've been really great. I've been David Baddiel. See you. Good night. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I've come back on because I've just heard that we're now able to go over live to Baghdad for a live satellite link-up with Saddam Hussein.
Hello, David. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, President Saddam. I did actually say this was a live satellite link-up, so could you just wait 3 seconds after everything I say, looking a bit lost and puzzled?
Yes, David. You know, these satellite poses remind me of when you go up to the urinal and it's all just about to happen, but then there's a 3-second delay before anything actually comes out.
Yes, especially if there's somebody standing next to you.
Yes, David. You know, sometimes then I have to pretend that I was just finishing and go out still needing to go.
Well, thank you, President. I wonder, it's still not quite right, the live satellite link-up. Could you just look off to the side in a moment, a bit angry, and then say something in Arabic? I think it's coming back through now.
I can hear you now.
Yes, I think it's come back through now.
I can hear you now.
Good, okay. I wonder if you could tell me, President, how it is.
I can hear you now.
Yes. I wonder, General, if you could possibly tell me how it is that you would most like to be remembered.
I would like to be thought of as a man who looks like a sort of cross between Homa Sharif and Bagpoos.
Saddam Hussein, thank you very much, and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Rob Newman.
Hello everybody and welcome, of course, to Rapido. It is so very difficult to understand what I'm saying that after a while you stop concentrating and I can say whatever I like, shit, piss, bugger, cunt. Yes, indeed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, every Wednesday morning I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do for the topic of material? Oh dear, I haven't any topic of material. Oh dear, what am I going to do for the topic of material? Oh my God. Marxist theory, Department of Trade and Industry, government, shadow chancellor, elections. Oh, bit of politics there. But always slow. This slow, slippity slide down. All the time I'm going on and on and on with all these clever things, don't you just think small penis? And the producer said to me, Ronnie, he said, He said to me, Ronnie, as he does quite often, he's a man of very limited conversation. The sum total of our last conversation was Ronnie, Guna, this disappearing. Oh, well, hello and welcome to Tonight with Jonathan Ross. And, all right. All right. Well, family. All right.
Hello, welcome to Going Live, and with me in the studio, as always, is my co-presenter, Sarah Green. Hello, Sarah. I must say, you're looking very different. The left-hand side of your face has caved in. Everybody thinks they're watching Animal Magic.
Hello. I always sound as though I've just taken a couple of hippo tranquilizers. Good evening, Ron Pickering here, having a heart attack. Oh, it was that last chocolate eclair, why did I eat it?
Well, really, there's no excuse for swearing or bad language in the game of professional football, even when, as today, the referee was clearly a cunt.
Well, I was very unhappy with the Republic of Ireland team played as a whole. I was very unhappy with the whole Republic of Ireland team performance. I thought we should have beaten them. I thought we should have beaten them. Like I thought we should have won. Our little whole team in the dressing room at half time, I was giving a stern talking to after about 10 minutes. Ray Houghton stood up, he said, "Excuse me, Jack, I'd just like to say on behalf of the whole team here, we can't understand a fucking what you're saying." Here's goddamn fucking Jack out there. Crazy action going on all the goddamn fucking time, man. Gotta tell you guys, I hear so much goddamn money. My voice sounds like a gold detector. I don't know where my fucking eyebrows are gone, boy. Hello. During tonight's show, go ahead if you want to shout anything out. Ask any questions or come up to the front and be touched if you've got any ailments that need healing. No observational comedy tonight, though. I stopped doing observational comedy a year ago when I did this gig at Perth Prison, and it was to all lifers, and these men, they've been in prison for like 10, 20, 30 years. Most of them, they were going to die in prison, they were never ever going to get out again. And I was still doing observational comedy in those days. So it was like, hey, you know what it's like on a Saturday afternoon when you can't park your car and... Oh, no, you don't, do you know? Okay. Hey, you know what it's like when you wake up next to your girlfriend and you really hang out... No, okay. Hey, you know what it's like when you break into an old lady's house and she says she's only got £2.50, so like, you beat her up. She still says she's only got £2.50, so like, you beat her up some more. She slips into a coma, you ransack her house and discover that she did only have £2.50. Now that's what gets the big laugh at Perth Prison. And they want us to give them toilets! Observational comedy implies a community chest of shared experience that I just don't believe in, because most people are as thick as shit. If I want to buy a dictionary, right, there's only a few words that I don't know the meaning of. Empathy, plenipotentiary, hubris, class words, right? So I would need a pamphlet about this thick, costing $3.95 tops. But no, I've got to spend $10.95 on a great lumbering tome like that, because there's people out there so thick they've got to have words in the dictionary like ant and bat and cat and car. You look, they're all in there, these words. So what I'm doing, so that in future I can just have my $3.95 elite person's dictionary. I'm writing a dictionary specifically for stupid people. And in the stupid person's dictionary, I've got as far as the word tree, under which it says, don't be fucking stupid, you know what a tree is? It's a tree! Tree. I hate all these little fucking countries that want to be little fucking countries. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. The Armenians and the Azerbaijanis are willing to put the whole world's future into jeopardy over what? The disputed region Nagorno-Karabakh. That was only founded because God once needed a really high score at Scrabble. What is the point of Estonia being a country? Oh no, we've drawn Estonia in the European Championships. Although, like, if we did, no doubt Graham Taylor would be going, well, we mustn't underestimate the Estonians.
Yes, we must. We must underestimate them. We should just send 6 players out there, not even wearing the proper kit, in plimsolls.
You can even pick Dennis Wise.
I'll tell you, Gaza is well out of it if we lose this country. I mean, I know people say, well, you know, if he goes to Italy, it might psychologically unsettle him. Yeah, like he's really well balanced now, yeah. He should go, he's well out of it, because we don't deserve him in this country. Because he does some piece of heel-toe brilliance on a Saturday afternoon, and he sets the Paxton on a roar and makes the crowd feel like an audience, and then cut to Bob Wilson in the studio saying, well, he's a good footballer, but he should try and be a bit more of an old cunt like me. Continued on pages 33 through 34 of Sun Sport, some past bastard like Kevin Keegan says, well, he's a good footballer, but he should... By the way, Kevin Keegan, you said those muggers who attacked you with baseball bats didn't know who you were. Oh, chinny record. They knew who you were. Oh, sorry, Kevin, I thought you were a seal. Sorry, mate. They knew who you were, it's just that some people in this country have got very long fucking memories. And they remember the header that you missed in 1982 that meant that we didn't go to the World Cup. Trevor Brooking had just floated in the most beautiful, cultured 5-0 levels and no bookings cross of his entire career. It beat the keeper, you just had to tap it with your head and it would have gone in, but you had to be flash and give it the old... And you missed. We didn't go to the World Cup. I'm just amazed your head actually connected with the baseball bats, Kevin. I hate the working class. What is the point of the working class? We've got machines instead of them now. Why don't they just fuck off and take their scaffolding with them? I said I was made up when it was decreed that all pit bulls had to be destroyed. I couldn't give a fuck about the dogs. It's just they're such a trash talisman, a casual status symbol. I think not only should their pit bulls be humanely destroyed, but also their shell suits, their gold chains, their Nikon digital stereo, and their £10.95 dictionaries full of stupid words. And now here is a list of sad things. Vanilla ice. And that's the end of the list. What a sad man. He said he'd been stabbed 27 times. They had a look, there were no scars, but he's not lying. His skin does have an amazing healing property, which is great, because it means if you meet him, you can just stab him as much as you like, and it won't matter. Vanilla Ice also said, and I quote, "I was born black." Yeah, you and Michael Jackson, yes. Why does Robert Smith of The Cure always get Stevie Wonder to help him put his lipstick on? You look like fucking Widow Twanky. Stevie Wonder. What a lying bastard that man is. Lately, I've been looking in the mirror. Yeah, Stevie, yeah. Or perhaps it was the microwave. You don't fucking know! They take him around the garden a couple of times. Cunt thinks he's been on a world tour. He hasn't! Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Sting, Robert Palmer. How I hate middle-aged, boring, sensible pop stars. I can't wait till Sting discovers that in all his profound concern about the disappearing rainforest, he's just sublimating the fact that he's going bald. And when you look at Robert Palmer, Jesus fucking Christ. When you look at Robert Palmer, don't you just think that somewhere there's a non-league football club missing a manager? Simple Truth, Red, Hot and Blue, Live Aid, they're always a real nexus of these mortgage sensible pop stars like Midge. Because like a proper pop star couldn't do the live report from Ethiopia because he wouldn't be able to understand the concept. He couldn't like get it into his head what was going on. You could not have. And now we go over live to Eritrea, which has seen some of the worst of the suffering. For an on-the-spot location report from Billy Idol.
Hi, all right, yeah, I see a lot of you chicks here are so excited you've got your tits out already.
I was asked to do some shit for Comic Relief. I knocked it straight back because I've got a lot of reservations about the whole deal. For a start, we only ever send them flour. Why can't we send them some decent fucking food? You see these shots of them eating like this? And you think it's because they're exhausted, but they're not. They're just bored. Oh, God, flour again. I hate this shit. Gives me the runs. I was 16 stone before I started eating all this flour. Boring pop stars. Gloria Estefan gets hit by a truckload of hate mail. Doctors put a 2-foot steel pole in her back and she found Jesus. Her new album's called I've Seen the Light. Yeah, Gloria, but I bet you haven't seen your shower rod for a little while, have you, girl? Gloria Estefan is coming to Britain to play the Wembley Arena on the 4th of October, but I'll be there. Boy George has got religion as well. Unbelievably. He used to be a fierce pop star. I don't care what you think. And now, I actually met him 2 weeks ago and I said, excuse me, George, I haven't done what you're asking, but, all this Jesus love you stuff, is it, genuine or is it, just a desperate attempt to revive your flagging career after the heroin addiction? And I didn't mean to say that, but I suffer from a strain of Tourette's syndrome that makes me blurt out rude and offensive things I don't realise I'm saying. It started during my troubled adolescence. Hello, Auntie Janet. Crikey, with a moustache like that, you should be in the circus. James, the Lars, Terry Christian. Don't you wish Myra Hindley had been given just a few more weeks to finish the fucking job? It's still not too late. We could give her the Lars home address, take her to the moors and let her go. There she goes. It'd be like Challenge Myra. Hello, Myra, where are you now? I've just discovered where the spiral carpets live. There she goes again. Why didn't someone tell me sooner? I've just found out that if you have a large melanoma, that means at some point in later life you will get skin cancer. And now I can just watch Chesney Hawkes videos all day. They can't take that away from you, and it's the microdisc storing the secret genetic launch codes of the bacterial war in which you die. I'm growing my hair at the moment because I'm trying to look like the lead singer out of Ride. The hair's almost there. All I need to do now is smash my face in with a hammer, and I might actually get a girlfriend. Now, you may like Ride and Mark Gardner. They have, after all, made my favourite record of this year. You may even hum and whir to the Charlatans and Tim Burgess, but with both like Mark and Tim, you wouldn't want to hang out with them, though, would you? It's like, Mark, just shout out if my brake light's coming on. Mark, just give us a shout if my brake light's coming. Mark. Okay, Tim, right, you're in goal, Tim. Tim, great, you're in goal. Okay, now me and Mark will be playing a flat back four, trying to spring the offside trap. If they get through, Tim, remember, come off your line and narrow the angle. Okay, Tim? Come off your line and narrow the angle. Okay, all right, go. All right, Mark, there you go. All right, man on, Mark, man on, to me, space, Mark, damn.
Tim, come off your line and out the angle, Tim. Come out, Tim. Come off your line now. Tim! It's rubbish. I only really like hanging out with women anyway, though, because I said women, not fetuses. If I go clothes shopping with a girlfriend, I feel that because she is a female woman of the opposite sex, it seems as though the garments she helps me choose have been like officially endorsed. They bear the stamp of shaggability. And if I wear those garments in the street, I feel I have a license to like strut my stride on the pavement with confidence. But if I try and buy clothes on my own, without a female woman of the opposite sex there to help me, then it feels as if those clothes do not bear the stamp of shaggability. And if I wear them in the street, whenever a woman walks past, I'm sort of going... And it looks like it's going to stay that way as well, because like every time I turn on my TV, I discover that my chances of ever going out with anyone ever again have just crashed. There's that virgin birth woman. There's the new AIDS advert. It's doom-laden, depressing. They put it on twice in every commercial break. They've actually got the voice of someone with the virus doing the talk over. You seen this one? Denise is 25, heterosexual, and because she can't get a shag anymore, she wants to spoil it for the rest of you. Since AIDS, most people are having a lot less casual sex. No. Since AIDS, you're having a lot less casual sex, Denise. Put the fear of God at me, that advert. This is not the voice of an actress. I'll tell you, I saw that, I thought, that's it. From now on, I am only shagging actresses. You can't be too careful. That's widened the field some more, isn't it? Although all that's academic now, because earlier this year, at the Birmingham NEC, they held the International Women's Conference, and I was there, picketing. Because I know what goes on in their girls. You think I don't? I fucking do. That is when all the women from all over the world get together and decide never, ever to go out with me. So you think I don't fucking know? I fucking know. It's like the chairwoman's there saying, amendment to the resolution from the Southern Counties delegate. Yes, I'd like to propose that at parties, we make a point of getting off with really ugly guys right in front of him. Okay, let's have a show of hands on that one. Carried unanimous, yeah. I don't fucking know. I know. You see, I fucking know. And in this mood, I can never understand George Bernard Shaw. I don't mean the ordinary plays he left behind. I mean the superhuman sacrifice he once made for the sake of an epigram. Lady Asquith had just come up trumps with, Mr. Shaw, you and I should make love because with my looks and your brains, we would have wonderful children. To which Shaw, famously replied, aha! But what if the child were born with my looks and your brains? And the remark was greeted with much applause. But seconds later, having stepped through French windows into the dusk garden, George was heard to shout, oh no, I've just thrown out a definite shag! Oh, what a dotter! It's like reverse Tourette syndrome. Mr. Shaw, fancy a shag? Fancy? It is the darling of society, but the outcast of the soul. Oh no, I've done it again! Sorry to be so jaundiced and... It's just I'm so bored and tired of everything. I've just reached the age, 20-something, and you look around and you think, fuck, this is what the planet's like, and what? I'm just expected to carry on living for like decades more. I think, Jesus, if just neutral things are doing my head in, like looking both ways before crossing busy roads or nodding when I'm spoken to, what am I going to do? What's going to happen next time something really bad happens to me, like standing at a urinal next to some bloke who farts and then goes, oh, better out than in. It's getting so bad I can't watch Crime Stoppers anymore. If ever I watch that show, and I have to walk on my own late at night anyway and say, I don't know, I'm walking up Kilburn High Road towards like Willesden Lane, right? I can just hear Shaw Taylor's voice in my head saying, the young man had just reached the junction of Kilburn High Road and Willesden Lane. And that's when I think, fuck,
if I wasn't so lonely, if I wasn't on my own all the fucking time, if I had some friends, I wouldn't have this fear. Because then it'd be like, all right, you've pulled a blade, all right, okay. But there's one of you and two of us. Right, Mark? Give it toes! Get so depressed. The only thing that will cheer me up is a good war. And I supported that Gulf War from day one for one reason, and that is that oil is the business. There is no way I am driving to Liverpool in a fucking milk float. I'll be there about October. Fucking forget it, right? And the Iraqis, they had all these conditions, lost so badly, they have to agree to like everything we say. You've got to give away most of northern Iraq to the Kurds. Should have said earlier, sorry, my mistake. And they do it. It's beautiful. We're just humiliating them. And also, Saddam Hussein has to appear in the next Sheikh and Vac advert. No, it's down there, resolution 6 I can't remember the number, but it's the one in felt tip pen that we've just added on. Okay. In the name of the holy vengeance of Islam and with the salutations of Muhammad, I abjure all Muslims to take up the sword of Allah and destroy all those associated with the obscene and blasphemous book Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. On your way in here tonight, some of you may have noticed signs in the foyer saying, warning, during this performance, a strobe light will be used, which is true. There's no joke involved, I just hate epileptics and don't want them coming to see me. But in my experience, there's always a couple that manage to like sneak in. So if we put the strobe on now, we should be able to find out exactly where they're sitting. But one thing you notice about a strobe light, it makes them very difficult to spot, because the thing about a strobe is it makes it look as though everybody's having an epileptic fit. In fact, that's the real reason they put the signs up. Not because it makes you have an epileptic fit, but because if you do have one, when the St John's ambulance men come, they think, fuck me, I'm in a room full of epileptics. I have to turn it off soon though, otherwise like loads of people from Manchester will come crashing through the doors going, all right, a rave, all right, have some of that, all right, a rave, get down, all right. Don't want that to happen, so can we turn the strobe off now, please? Never done that before. It's like my kitchen light always takes a bit of a while coming on. I get all these people from Manchester coming into my kitchen going, all right, a rave in the kitchen, all right, have some of that, all right. I see you're in a like toaster Marmite down here, all right, yeah. Hello, Myra. I want to talk about the G7 summit because I'm not happy about it. I am not happy about it because it used to be like the big five, right? And we were in there, and now it's like the seven, and like Italy and Canada, and we're getting pushed further and further back up the steps in the photographs they take at the end of the summit. It's like John Major's just sort of peeping around the back of Brahma and he's like,
oh, it's all right, I can peek round you, it's all right, I can...
And like when he meets Brian, whatever his name is, he's like, acts like he's pleased to meet him. He should be giving him some attitude. It should be like, he's sitting there, and Brian Mulrooney's giving it all that, and he's right here going on about Canada. And he should be like, excuse me, Mr. Toshiki Haifu, Mr. Bush, Mr. Cole, excuse me. Sorry, did you say you were from Canada? Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, when the discussion gets round to Kid Jensen, we'll bring you in, all right? In the meantime, why don't you just shut your fucking mouth? Sorry, Mr. Toshiki Haifu, sorry, I was on my net, sorry. A bit unpleasant, sorry, I won't do it again, sorry. Just when I want to know about Kenny Monty, sorry. They just don't understand, the ecologists. They just don't understand. They say, we should think about the sort of world our children will grow up in. We should think about what sort of planet we're leaving for our children to inherit. Don't they know anything? That is why most of us spend so much time polluting the environment. That's why I put in all the hours of pollution I do, because like you, I'm thinking about that time when I'm 40 years old and my teenage son's going, you're just an old fart, Dad. A washed up old stand-up that no one likes. So, you just off out now then, are you, son? Oh well, don't forget your radiation suit and oxygen mask, will ya? Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha.
Still, it shouldn't take you long to drive to Liverpool in a milk float.
Ha ha. Nyee. Ha ha. I get people come up to me and they say, I understand that you're being ironic there about these quite important issues, but what do you really think and what's your serious view on these things? And I think, why does my real opinion have to be the serious one? Why can't it be the stupid one or the shiny one? And so then they say, aha, so you're apolitical, are you? You're apolitical. Well, Einstein said that the world is too dangerous a place to live in, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who allow them to do evil. So it's your fault. Your fault. All the unemployment and the homelessness and the starvation is all your fault.
Oh dear, sorry.
But I can't help the way I am, you see. Because R.D. Laing believed you could trace character back to conception. That the person you are could be conditioned by the fuck that made you. My parents were both teenagers. It was just an urgent sex thing. A dumb, stupid, pointless fuck. And lo and behold, so am I. But you can't swim against the tide forever because you need friends. So eventually I signed up. I joined Amnesty International and we all had to write a letter to General Pinochet of Chile to get him to release these political prisoners. And I wrote, a very polite letter. And he wrote back. And we've become pen pals. But it's a lonely business being yourself. I split up with my girlfriend recently and I still don't understand what it's all about. I asked her to explain why and she said, you are completely immature, period. And I said, period. I want to leave you with something, but the only thing I can leave you with is the only thing I've learned, which is this. In those conjugal rows, you should always do what I do and go for the big walkout. The big, dramatic exit. Oh, I'm immature, am I? I'm immature. All right, well, if I'm so immature, you won't mind if I just leave then. Because what with me being so immature, you won't even notice I'm gone. Because with me being so immature, you'll be able to spend more time with your mature friends. That's it, I'm out of here, it's over, good night. There's no more. We're just going to sit here until you go.
Go on then, fuck off.
Go home.
All right then, let's do a sketch.
Yeah, all right. That sounds a bit like Chaz and Dave then. Hey, let's do a song.
Nothing like Chaz and Dave, no.
No, sorry. It's the stroke. I've fucked up. Good evening. Tonight on the South Bank Show, I'm joined by one of the most neglected composers and lyricists of modern times, Ralph Perryman, the man who originally wrote all the songs now regularly sung on the tennises at football matches. Classics of his include He's Fat, He's Round, He's Always on the Ground, Paul Gascoigne. Satirical songs such as Where's Your Father, Referee? And his latest and perhaps greatest number, You're So Shit It's Unbelievable. Ralph, what would you say was the central message behind your work?
Well, I don't know, Melvin. An artist often works without a knowledge of his basic intentions. For example, my early song, We Hate Tottenham, which goes, we hate Tottenham and we hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham and we hate Tottenham. It's got an echo in it built into the song. We hate Tottenham and we hate Tottenham.
We are the Tottenham haters.
Oh God, it's become a fucking heavy metal concert, hasn't it? You don't know the next line, though, do you? You see, I still don't know what that song is trying to say.
I'm glad that was your line. I didn't know the fucking next line. There as well. Well, for me, I think the theme of hating Tottenham comes across quite strongly there. Now you've
The joke works better without all those other bits in between, doesn't it, I think?
Now you've gone on to write a series of... I don't think they noticed. You've gone on to write a series of popular carols.
No, actually, there's a bit before that we've been missing out for the last 12 nights, which a fan pointed out to me yesterday, which is I've gone on apparently to write a series of playground hymns as well.
Oh, yes.
But it's all right, I don't think they've noticed.
OK. You've gone on apparently to write a series of playground hymns.
Yes, that's right. But you don't know this bit.
That is. No, it's your line now.
It's not.
I think that's resulted in my most
During
mature...
the 1970s.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yes.
It's been so long since we've done this bit.
God, it has, hasn't it? Do you remember when we first wrote this bit, David?
I think it was in the 1970s.
Yes, and for me, there are three things which sum up the 1970s. Watergate, it's all coming back to me now. Watergate, the miners' strike which brought down the Ted Heath government, and the song My Friend Billy's Got a 10-foot willy and he showed it to the girl next door.
She thought it was a snake, so she hit it with a rake. Do you feel all right?
Well, it's lovely to hear that echoing around the acoustics of the Shaftesbury Theatre. I think it was made for that.
It was worth going over, I thought.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, I did go on from that to write a series of popular carols, actually.
Goodness, that was your line.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was your line. I did it for you.
Yeah, you did go on from that to write a series of popular carols.
That's right, man. Fucking South Bank show's never like this, is it? I think that resulted in my most mature work, We Three Kings of Leicester Square, selling ladies' underwear.
I've always found...
Look, we're fucking videoing this, all right? You're spoiling it.
I've always found the central section of that piece intensely moving. I'd like to recite from it, if I may.
I'll be honoured, Melvin.
Star of wonder, star of light, Tarzan set his pants alight. Oh, it's great. It's become like a U2 gig, yeah. Get your lighters out now.
Yeah, and I think that resulted in my most mature work. Well, no, it didn't, actually. It resulted in my opus magnus magnusum. Tarzan in the jungle, had a bellyache, wants to do a toilet, too late.
I understand that the lyrics there are allegorical.
Yeah, Tarzan is actually me, and it wasn't the jungle, it was Alton Towers.
Ralph Perryman, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions at all? None at all? Just, hey, what? Why? You cunt. Suppose you think that's very clever and surreal. Everyone always asks that.
I noticed your t-shirt has the word spunk written on it. And your hair's got spunk in it. No,
That's the cheapest joke
I
I've
know,
ever heard.
mate, yeah. I'll wipe that one off now. Why has your t-shirt got that on it?
Oh, she's had a nervous breakdown.
Oh God, I didn't realise it said spunk. Oh damn, oh fuck.
Is that your boyfriend next to you? Yeah.
I think you've got a lot of problems. Did you buy it for her? Sort of, well, it's the nearest I can get, love.
Any questions? I haven't had a question, really, a proper question. Is this the only clothing I have? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is the only clothing I have. Is that the only clothing you have?
Since you started on the sartorial line, can you just stand up so we can see what you are wearing? Oh dear. Just re-show that again and again and again in a window like Virgin Megastore. Just.
Hello, there's someone in the box. Hello, what are you doing in the box? What are you doing there? Did you get special tickets for that or what? Hello, I know you can hear me because there's no one else in a box in the whole theatre. Is there somebody up there?
Are you
Got a gob on these people down... What? What? Oh, fucking hell. Yes, what?
Yeah, well, it didn't fucking work in your case, you bearded... Sorry, love, I think this must be Grateful Dead or something. Look at that, right in the balcony.
Hey? Oh, look at that, drama critic from the Sunday Sport. Why are you trying to kill time? Yeah. Well, I don't know why, actually. What? On your stutter. It's best not to shout things out if you've got a speech impediment.
Yo, MC Hammer.
We're now going to do a sketch that my brother wrote when he was 14 with some of his mates, all right? So here we go. You got this completely wrong last night as well, so concentrate this time.
I'll really try, Dave, I'll really try. Good evening, welcome to History Today. Today I'm joined by Professor A.J.P. Taylor, Emeritus Professors of All Saints College, Oxford, with me to discuss domestic foreign policy in Germany during the wars.
Thank you very much. Well, the first thing to remember about German domestic policy in the 19th century is that it's related to Flottenpolitik, that is, the politics of the Navy. Oh, I appear to have come. In my blue pants.
David Baddiel!